my personal experience working with NBA players. I feel like if they're at home in a routine, they feel pretty good. And then they go on these road trips. In the road trip, you got the flight itself. You get in a different time. You fall asleep at a different time. You're eating different foods. You don't have the food from your chef. So you might be on Uber Eats. And your whole schedule gets shifted. And they might be on a 2-week road trip. And they come back and they're a little bit heavier and they're a little some tendon pain. I wonder how much that has to do with that circadian rhythm. Yeah. And then I think there's implications there because sometimes when you're like if you're setting the schedule for an NBA team, sometimes you'll get to the city a day before, 2 days before. Some people will get there the morning of or the night before. There's a trend that I've seen with a lot of NBA teams is they're like, let's stay at home for as long as possible, and then let's just get to the game and play. Because we don't want you sleeping in a different bed. We don't want you messing up your schedule. The food that you normally eat at 8 a.m., you should eat again. As soon as we get on the road, everything changes. I wonder how much that has to do with like what you're talking about, the build up and clean out phases. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah. And like Huberman talks about like the circadian, and I was listening to Karen Esser, if you ever get the chance to look at her, like she's a circadian researcher in Florida, University of Florida. She's like a Jill Cook of circadian rhythm, the way she speaks, and it's so entertaining to listen to her. But she talks about it's a peripheral clock. It's a peripheral clock. The tendon clock, which is feeding and exercise, is how you signal it to do its processes. It's kind of independent of the brain because we think of light. We think of get up in the morning, see the light, and that's going to set the circadian rhythm for all your tissues. And that was the old way of thinking, was the SCN. That's the acronym for the one in the brain. I don't know how to say it, but that's setting the tendon and the muscle and everything. But they're finding that's not it. That those clocks run on their own regardless of light. And I think they put like plants, some of those plants that come up with the sun and go down, they put those plants in dark environments and they still have that process. So it's an automatic process. So a lot of people do the circadian and they go to light. I would be a fan of that. Like go and get morning light to kind of set that brain rhythm and try to keep the rhythms all in line. But the one for the tendon is going to be the feeding and the exercise and trying to keep those consistent.
Yeah. So train at the same time, try to eat at the same time.
It's got to be, and I'm taking a jump because they're not proving that in humans, but it's got to be there. It just makes sense.